Well, welcome back. This time I am going to be carving a reindeer eating, and it's going to be a drink luge. So I start off by pulling out my 300-pound blocks of ice right out of my walk-in freezer here. And you can see that little layer of white ice sitting there. That is actually the top of the block of how they are made. And the reason why it's white is because it has frozen air bubbles in it. And this is my hand scratcher right here. What I'm doing is just scratching off all these little boogers. And then I have my homemade Alaskan lumber mill. And right now I'm adjusting it, but I started off on average getting about 10 inches thick. I would come over here and I would trim that layer of white ice to top off until I have 10-inch thick block of ice. And so one of these blocks right here are around 300 pounds. And so then after I trim it, there's that top layer sheet, a little white ice in there. Goodbye. And so the next thing I do is I use my scrub board, and it works as kind of like a rasp slash planer. And I would use it to scratch the surface of a block here to get it flat. And now I need to cut the base of this reindeer. And I'll use my Alaskan mill, set it to 5 inches, and trim the 5 inches off to make the base. And when I'm done, I will take it and just throw it back in the freezer and work on it later. Do a little scrubbing for the next piece. And here I will be trimming another chunk. I think this one was 10 inches thick. And let's just bring it back up to the work table because we're going to start doing some gluing. And here I'm taking that one chunk that I just cut and I'm going to glue it to the front of the ice so I got the head. So I start off by just taking that one piece, looking pretty good, stick it to the side. The next piece, because I want it in a specific position, just trying to find the right surface, and I would have to carefully set it down so I don't pinch my fingers and break the ice. Scratch my line in there, clean the surface off, and then I would take it here to my large sheet of aluminum. Aluminum is great because it's a great heat transfer, and so I heat it up with an iron, place it on the block of ice, get it nice and smooth. Redo my scratch there. Take the next block, put that on there, so then I melt two very flat, smooth surfaces. And then I go and I have to carefully set it right there on the block. And you gotta have to work a little quickly. But once I like what I have and it's pretty intact, squirt it with some water to fill in some of the little cavities and then throw it back in the freezer to let it freeze. And now I'll just scrub the bottom of this to make it nice and flat, set it into position, and then this is my homemade ice pick, which works great as a pencil, so I use it to scribe in the lines of the reindeer, and then that way I could just really kind of work on it until I like what I have. And after I got the image transferred on there, then I use this V-gouge here. And I would use a V-gouge and I would just go over all the lines that I do like. And then that way they don't melt away. And then after that's done, then I use my good old trusty chainsaw and I just start cutting away all the negative space, all the ice that I don't need. What's not the reindeer, as we can say. Just come over here and just do a bunch of trimming. Since this little area is really thick and a little tricky, it takes a little bit of time to do that. Do some various cuts. This right here is called a plunge cut. So I work carefully, plunge it through, and then I rock it back and forth so that way I can make the cuts a little bit more curved. Then go on the back side of the deer, etching the legs. This time, instead of using the V-gouge, I just used the chainsaw. And then try to cut in between his legs. So then I can have his little legs being staggered. Come over here, start getting more of the antlers shaped out. And then we'll cut this way. And this is always a fun one when this happens. Let it ride on the saw. And then we'll just come over here. Once we got a lot of the negative space out, then we'll come in and start rounding it. And then trying to get into tiny little details around this antlers, which is a little bit of a brain stretch. And then something happened to my camera and I couldn't do any more recording. So flash forward to here is the Reindeer Ice Luge at a holiday tasting. This is designed for a signature cocktail drink that gets poured down and into a little cup, and it chills it on the way down. People love these things. About 3 or 4 hours later, this is what the reindeer looks like. Thank you so much for watching this video, and stay tuned for the next one.